welcome back, Unlearners, and welcome to your annual Review Your Year episode. It is time to reflect on 2025, the year that was. And now I know a lot of us have had some big years, some big changes. If you're into the Chinese zodiac signs, this was the year of the snake, which symbolizes shedding, letting go of masks, letting go of the old version of us. So I don't know about you guys, but I've had a massive year and a year that I didn't expect to have at the beginning of the year. If I think about the person I was when I first started 2025 versus the person I am now when I'm finishing 2025, it's almost like I can't recognize that person. And it definitely took me by surprise how this year manifested in good ways and also in ways that were challenging. But you know what? Everything in life can be utilized as an opportunity and as a lesson. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to review your year. I'm going to take you through some questions that will help you reflect on your year and then also help you understand what you want to bring into 2026. So you're welcome to grab a journal, write these down, write them in your notes app if you'd like to do a writing exercise alongside this episode, or you're welcome just to listen to the episode. I will be answering all of the questions and being vulnerable about my experiences this year so you guys can listen to how to answer the questions. You can obviously, as I answer them myself, you can answer them in your head and listen to and reflect on the year that was whilst you're driving, whilst you're living life, whilst you're on a walk. But yeah, definitely do this exercise along with me to get the most out of the episode. But before I hop into the nitty-gritty of the episode, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody who has been listening recently. I can see lots of returning listeners, so I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. I know this year I was absent for literally majority of the entire year. To be back recording for you guys is a real privilege. I love it. And what I would love even more is if I keep forgetting to remind you guys to leave a review. So if you love the podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you don't love the podcast and you hate to listen to this podcast, please don't leave a review. I'd really appreciate it if you just hate listen in private. If you love the podcast, please leave a positive review, because the more reviews that are left, the more the platforms will push it out to other people, and it will just, help get the message out there. And that would mean a real lot to me. So again, thank you so much if you've already done that. But yes, let's get into the episode. You've arrived at Unlearn with Louisa, the self-development podcast where we explore the beliefs, patterns, and behaviors we've all unconsciously picked up along the way. Whether it's in relationships or how we treat ourselves, here we focus on unlearning our past to create the future that we actually want. Let's get into it. So first question is, what was the overarching theme or core lesson of the year? What was the universe trying to teach you this year? The overarching theme for my year this year was that life is made to be experienced. Fun should be a priority. Freedom comes from being present and having fun. The best way to learn about yourself and what you need and about who you are is to go out and experience life in environments that you normally wouldn't be in. I was lucky enough to do a lot of travel this year. I went on quite a few holidays, and because of the circumstances of my year, I met lots of new people. I met lots of people that I wouldn't usually have been in touch with. And although financially, I haven't ended the year in the best position possible. So for anyone that's in the same boat, me too, you don't need to judge yourself for that. What I was rich in instead was experience. I experienced and I witnessed myself go through so many different patterns and learn so many different lessons in such a short period of time, because I just allowed myself to just have fun and let go of the pressure of my goals, let go of the pressure of my business, let go of the pressure of doing things in the most perfect, right way possible. And instead, I just went out and lived my life and traveled and became really close to the people in my life and met lots of lovely new people and learned about all sorts of different people just by, having fun and having experiences. And what that gave me was I learned so much more about myself than I've ever learned. And I think sometimes I can forget that, and I know we can forget that as people, that the best way to learn about yourself is sometimes just to do it, just to experience things, to make mistakes. I think being in the self-development industry and being in recovery from addiction, sometimes you can get in this trap of like there's a right way and a wrong way to do things in life in terms with relationships or healing or living life day to day. But sometimes it's not about that. You know what I mean? Sometimes we can actually learn and grow so much more by getting things wrong and being open and being curious and reflecting. And I know I can sometimes, I think the person that I was last year really forgot about that. And maybe that comes from being very strict and having to stay sober. I was afraid to take risk and afraid to live a little bit more freely. And this year I've been able to really integrate and let go of that rigidity. So that's a little insight on what my year was like. I mean, it also explains probably where the podcast went. So funny, I was looking at the Spotify Wrapped. The Spotify Wrapped, you get like a version of it if you're a creator. So, you guys would get it for your music and what you listen to. Anyway, so you get like your statistics as a creator. And I realized I had actually only uploaded 4 episodes this year, which is crazy. The way the whole year went by, and like 2 episodes I think were in from November and December, I just like completely went MIA after some things that I experienced. And you know what? It was actually like the best thing for me, and it makes me a better in my business now today. But I definitely was really eye-opening to see that was the case. Like I think I thought I was like, I'd only actually, after the rebrand, I'd only done like 2 episodes. So yeah, isn't that funny? All right, so the second question is, what pattern became impossible to ignore this year, and how do I now feel empowered to break it? This question is a good question. So I went through a breakup in May, which you probably realized by the breakup series. My ex-partner and I were together for 4 years, and my life took a big turn after that breakup. I found myself again in ways that I didn't realize I had lost, as lame as that sounds, but I really did. And what I did after that was I went through a lot of life experiences and I did a lot of reflecting, and I did some work recently where I looked at all of the relationships that I had been attracting over the last 7 years. And I realized that every single one of those relationships, whether it was a situationship, whether it was like a date or whatever, whether it was like the 4-year relationship that I was in, whatever type of man I was attracting, they all followed a pattern. And I was really confronted to see how when I wrote out each of these circumstances, if I hid the names, it could have been either one of them, right? Each relationship followed this exact same pattern, which was that they were emotionally unavailable to some capacity. My attachment would get hooked in. I would create a version of them in my head that meant that if I got their validation, it meant that I was like worthy and valuable. And then after X amount of period of time and realizing that they're just a regular human being, I would end it, or I would leave, and I would sort of get the ick, and I'd have this avoidance or like this disorganized attachment pattern play out. And I realized that for me so I went through, this is getting vulnerable, I went through a pretty traumatic relationship when I was 21. And from that point onwards, I have attracted very like experiences, obviously not to that extreme, but very like experiences in the sense that I'm almost trying to heal the wound that happened there and from childhood through these new relationships. And it's not actually about love in these new relationships. It's actually about attachment and attachment woundings. And I will forever be in that cycle of, going for a man that really heightens my nervous system rather than calms it. if I don't become aware and I start to break that pattern. And so writing that all out and realizing what was going on for me unconsciously, I was like, no wonder I have not been necessarily super successful in relationships, because it's self-abandonment, right? Like I'm abandoning myself by going back to these dynamics, but really it's my inner child and my inner self trying to heal. That's what we do by attracting these partners. And so having that awareness this year is absolutely groundbreaking. And I wouldn't have gotten that awareness if it wasn't for going through that breakup and learning about myself after that breakup. So that is the pattern that I feel empowered to break in the new year. But stranger things have happened. I mean, relationships and attachment, it's a really deep topic. But one thing I will say is the years ahead, whether I find a partner or not, but the next partner I will hope will be a partner that calms my nervous system rather than dysregulates it. Because anyone that's had like experiences to me may relate to feeling quite dysregulated with the wrong person. And I always thought that was something that I needed to heal within myself. And obviously it absolutely is to some degree, but there is also some responsibility on me going for people that dysregulate me, because that's what I confuse love with. I think that love equals attachment, but really they're completely separate things. And I have learned that, because whenever it comes to fruition, I realize that this person is not for me, and there's no emotional feelings there. It's really this strong visceral attachment wounding. Question 3. What self-care practice regulated me this year, and what will I bring into 2026? My morning routine at the moment is like the best morning routine I have ever had. I'm on this early wake up, early bedtime schedule, and it is fucking life-changing. Can I just say that? I know you probably don't want to hear that. I know most people, like when I would listen to stuff like that, I'd be like, fuck off. Like, I don't want to get up early. Or like, I love the idea of it in theory, but it's just so fucking hard. But you cannot get up early without going to bed early. So that's where I will urge you to start. If this is something that you feel like you want to begin in 2026, is that sort of healthy, really great morning routine, it starts the night before. If you're staying up late, if you're losing sleep by getting up early, you're not going to get up early. Like, you need to start the night before. Luckily for me, I sort of started when I was dealing with jet lag. So my sleep routine was all over the shop anyway. So I started taking some melatonin at 9 p.m. every night. And then by 9:30, 10 o'clock, I was exhausted and ready to fall asleep. I wake up at 6:30 every morning. And the best part of it is that when I used to wake up, like, I've always been big on morning routine. If you've listened to the podcast for a long time, you know I meditate every day, or I always have like a pretty strong morning routine. However, what I would do is I'd fit that morning routine into an hour. So I would get up an hour before I had to leave the house, whether it was before a client or whether it was before I'd go to the gym. And as soon as I wake up, I felt pressure. I didn't even realize that was what was happening though, but I just felt this like, oh my God, I have to quickly meditate, and then I have to do this, then I need to get dressed. And like, I knew there was a time pressure to when I had to leave. Whereas now waking up at 6:30, I mean, obviously my day starts a bit later because I can schedule clients when it suits me. So for people that like start work at 8:30, 6:30 is probably not enough time, but you get what I'm saying. When I wake up with like 3 hours before I need to do anything, my cortisol levels do not spike. So I wake up and I am able to have a slow morning. I slowly go to the toilet, then I come back to bed. I do some work with this coach I've been doing some work with, some relationship coaching stuff. I do that in the morning. I do some meditation. I journal. Then I get dressed. I come downstairs. I eat. I have lemon water. Do all those things. And I do all these things with a slow pace. Like, that has been the biggest change for my nervous system, and my biggest regulatory practice in 2026 is like just this feeling of I don't need to rush. I can do this process and be in my body and like enjoy my morning, and I have my coffee, and it's just such a beautiful time to enjoy my time. Like, it's my time. These few hours, it's before I give it to a client, it's before I give it to my work or whatever it is. I'm able to just enjoy myself, and it's just been such a huge change. I was really motivated because I was at the end of a breakup. I was like, fuck, I really need to make myself happy after this. I was really nervous about how I would feel. And I thought, you know what, I need to, instead of hiding my head and sleeping in and putting it off, I need to be proactive and face it. It's been amazing for my ADHD. It's been amazing for my relationship with myself. So for anyone in 2026, early bedtimes, early mornings, best thing. As 2025 comes to a close, I know you may be feeling, where on earth has this year gone and why have I not achieved yet again my New Year's resolution or my goals? Let me tell you, many of my clients have felt the exact same way, and that is why it is so integral for you to engage a coach in the start of the new year. Whether it's breaking patterns in relationships, whether it's changing your belief systems about yourself, reaching your goals in your career, your financial goals, or manifesting that new relationship, make 2026 your year. The highest peak of our motivation in achieving our goals is always at the beginning of the new year. But if you want an actual plan to take you beyond that, we can maximize your growth and maximize that motivation together in a 30-day container. You will have 4 coaching sessions with me, unlimited messaging and voice noting throughout that month. This offer is available now through December and will only run through January and February of 2026. Research shows that you are 80% more likely to achieve your goals when you engage a coach alongside your journey. So let's do it. Let's work together. Reach out to me on Instagram or email me at coaching@unlearnwithlouisa.com if you want to make 2026 your best year yet. Enjoy the episode. All right. Question 4 is, what behavior will I be leaving behind in 2025? Mine, I had a few written down. I mean, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to experiencing life this year. So I picked up vaping. Just gonna out myself. In June, I picked up vaping. And it has been a battle over the year, and my skin has been horrific. It's just been a really tough behavior to knock. And like anyone who vapes, I just empathize so deeply because it's so hard to get off once you start. I'm probably about 3 or 2 weeks off it now. I've had months of reprieve and then I'll come back on it. Just on that, actually, what I found with vaping is my cycle started to become really irregular, like my menstrual cycle. I would lose half of my luteal phase because of the nicotine and because of the stress on my body. My estrogen just would drop and I would get my period. So I was having like 21-day cycles, 24-day cycles, which when you think about it, like that means like I'm bleeding 1 to 7, then I have like 2 weeks off, and then I'm bleeding on day 21 or day 24. I'm having my period like every 2 weeks. It was horrible. This is really, really not good for my body and my hormones. And that is a behavior I want to leave behind in 2026, as well as doom scrolling. I mean, I've had my fair share of indulging on doom scrolling this year. I just had, literally before I recorded this episode, I had my appointment with my coach. I see a coach every fortnight, and I was talking to her how I feel like I have no time, and she was like, okay, like what are you doing instead? And I'm like, oh, like I definitely have been scrolling a bit. And so we got up my screen time and I can't even tell you guys how bad it is. I'm embarrassed. It's not good. Basically, I'm losing like 2 months of a year to scrolling. When you add up the amount of hours you spend, and obviously some of those hours that I spend on social media are actually work related, but there's definitely plenty of hours that are not work related. I think that is the toxic behavior I really want to leave behind in 2025, because the amount I could do, when you put it all together, the week or over the month or over the year, I could have done so much in that time. Another one that I've also want to cut down in 2026 is I've done a bit of research recently on the toxicity in foods, obviously because my skin has been a bit of a crazy one this year because of the vaping and nicotine and stuff. I've also looked into the impact of like seed oils and, you know, different things on your hormone health. And when I was away in Thailand for a period of time this year, and I was eating very clean. Like I was just eating really simple food from where I was living, and my body responded so well. Like I felt amazing. And it wasn't until I came back to Melbourne, because it's so easy to access something quick here, something quick there that isn't so clean. It wasn't ever something I really looked at was clean eating, and I realized how different I felt. So just removing any toxic type of digestion, whether that food, vaping, and junk media on my phone. Question 5 is, what mindset will I leave behind in 2025 and what will I have instead? If it's not happening now, it's never going to happen. This really impatient mindset for me around, I have this very black and white unhealthy thinking, like if I don't have a relationship today, I'm never going to have a relationship, or if I don't get a new client, or like I've failed, or if a podcast episode doesn't do what I want it to do, then I've failed, or content, or whatever. To have this really unhealthy, impatient look at things. What I have decided to change that mentality. I mean, obviously I can usually catch it, but I want to definitely leave that in 2025 because I know that does not serve me at all, and to let go of the pressure I have on myself. And so in 2026, my mindset will be that setbacks are opportunities, and space and time is an opportunity to learn and grow. So like setbacks are opportunities to learn and grow, and there's no such thing as failure. I think those mindsets are going to really, really serve me in 2026, because I think that having really black and white thinking and putting pressure on yourself to be somewhere and to constantly be looking forward. If I think about who I was at the start of the year and who I am now, I would be so proud of the person I've become. But instead of thinking like that, I'm thinking 10 steps ahead, and why aren't I there? So learning to enjoy the journey a bit more in 2026 and having more compassion for myself around where I'm at is key. All right, question 7 is a manifestation question. So now we're looking to the year ahead. And the question is, who do I need to become in order to create my best 2026? So who is the future version of me going to be and do to create the best 2026 for me? Now, my answer to this question is a boundary. I want to become somebody that says no to prioritize herself. So I have a pretty bad habit that when I am confronted with social opportunities, so if somebody asks to see me or if there's a social thing on, I will, instead of the original plan, which was to like do something for me, I will cancel that and go forward with the social thing. And then sometimes I'll look back and regret it. And I'm like, oh, I just did that almost out of fear or because I didn't want to miss out. And it's really easy to do for me because obviously I work for myself, so I can juggle things around pretty quickly. But in 2026, I'm going to be somebody that says no in order to prioritize herself. Now, to finish off this review, now that we've reflected on 2025, we've figured out who we want to be in 2026, I'm going to get you to do a manifestation exercise. So this exercise, you can either screenshot where we're up to on this episode so you can come back to it later. Let me know how you go with it if you do it, please. But this is a really great exercise to manifest your next year ahead. So what you're going to do is we're going to create a symbol of 2026 through your 5 senses. So we've got our conscious mind, which is our like conscious thought that we're aware of. And then we've got our unconscious mind, which is a programming that we don't have conscious awareness over. So it's usually programmed from the past, from our experiences, from our belief systems. And it creates this sort of computer coding pattern that we digest life through. So in order to make change, we need to program our unconscious mind. And our unconscious mind speaks in symbol. So that's why manifestation, visualization and stuff works so well, because you're getting your unconscious mind used to a new reality. And so then you create that in your conscious awareness. So you become a like for like. So what we're going to do is I want you to use your 5 senses and write all of these down on a piece of paper. So in 2026, I want you to write down, how do you see yourself? So what are you wearing? What is your posture? What does your hair color look like? I want you to create a symbol of yourself. So what do you look like in 2026? So once 2026 is finished, What are you wearing? Where are you? Like, are you on a beach? Are you in an office? Are you on a stage? I want you to write a symbol of your goal for 2026 in how you see yourself. Then, how do you feel? So how do you feel internally? Are you feeling powerful? Are you feeling strong? Are you feeling calm? Are you feeling peace? And then also what you can feel in your hands. So like, what can you feel? Maybe you can feel the suit material. Maybe you holding a binder. Maybe you're tapping on a laptop. Maybe you're posting on your phone, like content. Or maybe you can smell your cologne, like your favorite cologne, your fragrance. Or maybe you can smell other people's cologne. Maybe you're trying to manifest a partner this year and you can smell a really strong, beautiful male cologne or female cologne, depending on who you're trying to manifest as a partner. What can you hear? What are people telling you about yourself? What are you telling yourself? What can you hear in your environment? Are you at the beach? Can you hear the beach? Can you hear the buzzing crowd in the restaurant? Can you hear people backstage? Can you hear something in your microphone? Whatever, like create a picture. Then I want you to write that all down. And then you're going to put some frequency music on. So just go onto YouTube and you can either put frequency music on, or you can just search like manifestation music or just a high vibrational meditation music. Set a timer for 10 minutes on your phone. Set a timer for 10 minutes and I want you to read over everything you've written and then really visualize it and get into that feeling as if you are that symbol for that whole 10 minutes, and then you're done. And then you're going to DM me and let me know how you go, or email me. But that is all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed getting to know my year, and I hope your 2026 is bloody awesome, that your Christmas was bearable and was beautiful, or if you don't celebrate Christmas, that you had a great holiday season. I will see you in next week's episode. I'm so proud of you for continuing to work on yourself, for continuing to grow. Let me know how you go with your reviews. Post them on social media, tag me, share it with somebody that you think would benefit from this episode, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the episode, and congratulations for choosing to create a future that's actually yours. If you got something out of this episode, please share it with someone who needs to hear it, and keep up to date with me by following wherever you listen to this episode. If you haven't already, I'd love it if you could also leave a review. If you want more from me, you can find me on any platform at Unlearn with Louisa, or head over to my website unlearnwithlouisa.com to work with me as a coach. And I will see you at the next episode.